Oh my god, I'm gonna die with one f***ing hit. I have to go for it. 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 I have to go for the rip. No! So, you're probably wondering how I got here. Well, that's a little complicated. Let's just say that it all started when I came up with this genius idea to do a fireball only run. Now, you might be wondering, what is a fireball only run? Well, as the title would suggest, it's a run where I'm only allowed to use fireballs. That includes fighting bosses, grinding for runes, dealing with NPCs, and so on. Now, that in itself wouldn't be too hard of a task to do, but I decided to make this run a little harder on myself by making it so I have to get All Remembrances, meaning that I have to kill every single boss that gives you a remembrance upon death. As of this recording, there are 15 bosses that have remembrances, including Dragon Lord, Malenia, and Rykard, to name a few. And on top of that, I decided that I also wanted to go for the Lord of Frenzy Flame ending, since it pretty much perfectly fits our MO. So, the question is, can I beat Elden Ring by only using fireballs? Well, there's only one way to find out. My name is Ryan Kelly, and this is my fireball only run. Before getting into the run, I should clarify what a fireball actually is. For the purposes of this run, I'm considering a fireball to be a fire-based incantation that forms a ball or balls of fire. And out of all the incantations in Elden Ring, there are 5 of them that I would consider to fit that description, being Flame Sling, Black Flame, Flame of the Fell God, Flame Fall Upon Them, and Giant's Flame Take Thee. However, there's an additional incantation that I'm allowing myself to get that isn't a fireball, being Flame Grant Me Strength, since it raises fire-based attacks and doesn't actually do any damage to bosses. So now that we've gone over the basic rules of the run, we can start our fireball only run. We start our run just like any other by creating our character, but this time I decided not to make a horrible abomination, but instead made this fine Italian plumber that some of you might have heard of. Yahoo! So with my prophet class character created, I set off to collect a couple of goodies. The very first thing I did was to make a quick trip to Khaled to collect some free runes from our good old friend Commander O'Neill by using these convenient geysers. However, killing Commander O'Neill doesn't only net us free runes this time. It also gives us the unalloyed gold needle, which we will need for one of the 3 questlines we'll be doing, being Millicent's questline. And while killing him doesn't directly give us access to the round table holds, the grace next to his fight does. So after killing Commander O'Neill, we went to the round table hold to find a very important person for our run, Corin, a friendly NPC who sells us every incantation we'll be using for our run, excluding Flame of the Fell God and Flame Grant Me Strength. So we go ahead and buy the only incantation we can from him for now, Flame Sling, our traditional fireball that we'll be using early on. So now that we have Flame Sling, we can go ahead and really start our adventure. I started by going into some dungeons and collecting a few smithing stones since we'll be needing a lot of them for this run. I ended up getting enough smithing stones to upgrade my finger seal to +2, which should be plenty since we won't be using this seal for long. I also went ahead and got both the Radahn Sword Seal Talisman as well as the Flame Grant Me Strength incantation. And since we'll be using a lot of FP during this run, I also went ahead and grabbed some Golden Seeds and Sacred Tears, as well as the Wanderer's Physic. And just like that, it was already time to take on Margit. Now, Margit himself wasn't too hard of a fight this time around, but it did make me realize 2 things. 1, that charging up these fireball attacks takes a long time to do, and that I can be hit out of charging one up at any point, making it much harder to deal damage. And 2, the fireballs I do manage to create aren't by any means guaranteed to hit my target, since once they're charged up, I can't change their trajectory. That specifically didn't really happen too often with Margit, but it will definitely be an issue with some other bosses later on. But all that matters for now is that I did beat Margit pretty easily, and that it was time to go to Stormvale Castle for 2 crucial items. It was that time again to do our obligatory speed run, any percent hitless run through Stormvale Castle, but without the hitless part. But this time we at least get rewarded with something pretty useful for our run, being the Black Flame Book and Godslayer Seal. For those unfamiliar with what these items are, all you need to know is that they're our ticket to getting our next fireball attack, the Black Flame, which is a Godslayer incantation that not only does a good amount of damage when thrown, but it also does residual damage after it hits an enemy, specifically draining 2 to 5% of an enemy's overall health after making contact, which is going to be really important for bosses that are resistant to fire. And the Godslayer Seal gives you a 10% boost to all Godslayer incantations. In other words, we just got our powerhouse attack. Or at least I would say that if Corden didn't sell the Black Flame at such a steep price. I mean, how the hell am I supposed to get 7.5k runes? It's not like there's a pushover boss that I could go easily kill right now. Well, isn't that convenient? And to no one's surprise, I beat him on my first try. Yeah, Godric has never been known to be a hard boss or anything. I just thought that his fight might be a little harder given the circumstances. But hey, we have enough runes to buy the Black Flame incantation now, so that's a plus. That's right, you Corrin. Here are your runes.
Very well. I'll take it off your hands.
With our new fireball in hand, we set out to do even more fun prep work. So I went ahead and grabbed the Faithful Seal's Canvas Talisman for that sweet 4% incantation damage boost. Grabbed the first Smithing Stone Bell with ease, went to Altus Plateau to bypass a big chunk of Ranni's questline, started Fia's questline for that sweet ass armor set. Then collected a bunch of golden seeds and sacred tears, grabbed the second Smithing Stone Bell with even more ease, grabbed the Glintstone key to access the wonderful wizarding world of Rhea Academy, and finally upgraded my Godslayer Seal to plus 11. And would you look at that, it was already time to fight Rennala, but not before having to deal with her meddlesome pet, the Red Wolf of Radahn, which was yet another easy boss. Wow, I guess this challenge run isn't going to be too bad after all. Oh no! No, why? No, I roll, oh my god. Okay, I take it back. Rennala was surprisingly not a pushover this time around. What made this fight so annoying was the fact that since I could only use fireballs, I had to throw 3 fireballs to break Rennala's barrier before I could even attack her. So I was wasting up to 9 fireball throws on breaking her seal alone. Also, it was pretty annoying to throw fireballs during this part of the fight since her students kept hitting me out of the animation. And don't even get me started about how dumb the lock-on system is for this fight. And even after I got through the first phase, I wouldn't be able to live through the second one since most of her attacks could kill me pretty easily. So I knew I had to do some grinding before I could kill Rennala. And that's exactly what I did. But you're not gonna believe how I got these runes. I actually was able to kill the Elder Dragon by only using fireballs. I'm not kidding. I honestly didn't even think this was possible. But thanks to the power of the Black Flame, it was more than doable. And then after that, I was also able to kill the Putrid Erdtree avatar in Khalid. And while I was out, I went ahead and grabbed the Radahn Icon Talisman as well, since it speeds up casting time. But I didn't equip it, because I forgot to. But that didn't really matter in the end since we were able to kill Rennala pretty quickly, thanks to all the grinding we did. So while this fight was still hard, it wasn't nearly as bad as before, since I could actually tank more hits and deal more damage. So yeah, that was 2 remembrances down. You know, we could actually go for a 3rd remembrance right now since we're at a good level. Yeah, let's go ahead and try to kill Radahn. I mean, how hard could his fight be? Whew. No! He was 2 hits away! I should have horsebacked. Out of all the bosses that I fought throughout this challenge run, Radahn's fight was easily one of the hardest ones. Since I had prepped so much for Rennala's fight, I didn't feel like I really needed to do much prep work for Radahn. So the only thing I did before starting his fight was leveling up my Godslayer seal to plus 14, so that I could do more damage per hit, which definitely helped. However, because I was so underleveled for this fight, Radahn hit like a truck, usually killing me in about 2 hits. That accompanied with my slow fireball attacks meant that I had very few openings to deal damage. And if this wasn't enough, this was also the first boss of the run where I encountered an entirely new issue. Sometimes, even though I would aim my fireball correctly, it would still miss, whiffing Radahn's hitbox, whether that meant going through his legs or curving around his back. So not only were my attacks slow, but they weren't even guaranteed to hit my target. So yeah, this was gonna be a hard fight. Radahn, please. Oh my god, I didn't even move! Radahn, please, do to your second phase. No, 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 no! No! The thing in the back! Oh no, 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 no! He was like 3 hits away! But I wasn't gonna give up. Not by a long shot. And after some intense grinding, I was able to best Radahn. Suck my Radahn, yes! Let's go! With Radahn dead and the stars set free, I set up for Necrom, the Eternal City. However, there was something in Necrom that shook me to my utter core. Something that could end this run altogether. The Mimic Tier. Okay, it wasn't the Mimic Tier. It was something that the Mimic Tier did that made me nervous. It was able to roll dodge. Yes, I realize how dumb this sounds. Of course the Mimic Tier can roll dodge. I mean, it is you after all, but this shed light on a new issue that I had yet to encounter. Humanoid enemies can easily dodge my fireballs. Yep. As of right now, I have no way to properly deal with these type of enemies. Luckily, this wasn't the case with the Mimic Tier, but it will definitely be an issue down the road. For now, we keep moving forward and go deeper into Necrom for our next remembrance, the Regal Ancestor Spirit. Originally, I thought this fight might be more difficult since the Regal Ancestor Spirit could heal itself, as well as being able to easily dodge my fireballs. But that wasn't really the case. While I did miss a good amount of attacks, whenever I did land one, it did insane damage. So with some patience and good timing, we killed the Regal Ancestor Spirit, netting us our 4th remembrance. Since we've already unintentionally done a decent amount of Ranni's questline, we might as well keep moving forward with it. In order to advance our questline from here, we have to go to Caria Manor and talk to Ranni. But before we could do that, we have to deal with Royal Knight Loretta, which gave me no issues at all. I didn't even die! Not once. With Loretta defeated, we had a riveting conversation with Ranni about becoming her manservant or something like that, and head back into Necrom to grab the Fingerslaying Blade as a gift since I desperately seek approval. And now we can access the Carian Study Hall to grab the Curse Mark of Death for Fia's questline. Now, I probably could have finished Ranni's questline from here if I wanted to, but there was no way in hell I was gonna fight the twin gargoyles. So instead, I went to kill the Draconic Tree Sentinel, who wanted to show off his fireball skills, but realized he was no match for me and accepted death. No f***ing way! I said, and he humbly accepted death. There we go. And thanks to the Draconic Tree Sentinel's noble sacrifice, I was able to get my faith to level 41, which meant that we were finally able to get our third fireball attack, Flame of the Fell God, which just so happens to require 41 faith to use. Shocker, I know. But in order to obtain it, we had to kill Radahn, Thief of Fire, who, you guessed it, is an NPC boss. However, he surprisingly goes down pretty easily, since he just loves to jump in front of my fireballs. And just like that, we had our new fireball attack, which was huge, since it just might be our new countermeasure for dealing with NPCs. For those who don't know, Flame of the Fell God creates a ball of fire that slowly moves towards its target and explodes once it gets close enough to them, or runs out of time. This is extremely useful against NPCs since they won't automatically roll dodge the attack. And on top of that, if it hits them, it will knock them to the ground, meaning that they can easily get stuck in an endless chain of fireballs if you time them correctly. This will be extremely useful later on. For now though, we have a different objective in mind, unlocking the Lord of Frenzy Flame ending. But first, we gotta grab a couple more items, like our next talisman, the Flame Scorpion Talisman, which increases fire damage at the price of taking more damage yourself. And who could forget our next item, the Cerulean Hidden Tear, which gives you infinite FP for 15 seconds. With both of those crucial items collected, we can now pursue the Frenzy Flame. So we dive balls deep into the Leyndell sewer system, flawlessly navigating its tunnels. Is it down there? I don't think it is. Maybe here? No. I don't remember. Alright, we're gonna look it up. And find ourselves face to face with Mohg, the Omen, who I burnt to a crisp. Fuck! He was like 3 hits away on the first try. Okay. Yeah, I deserved that. After eventually killing the Mohg wannabe, we replaced the Radahn Sword Seal Talisman in place of the Erdtree Favor +1 Talisman, since we don't need the extra levels in Strength or Dex. And now, we can get the Frenzy Flame. Well, this is awkward. Alright, I guess we can go ahead and deal with Morgan now. So we ass blast our way through Leyndell Capital and fight our favorite Among Us DLC character, Godfrey the Imposter, and give him a saucy beating. Okay. Yeah, I think it's time to stop making Among Us jokes. After giving Godfrey what for, we got our last talisman pouch and finally equipped the Radahn Icon Talisman for faster casting time. And now the only thing left to do was to fight Morgan, who I was a little worried about since he always seems to be coked out. But I somehow managed to beat him on my first try. I don't know if it was because I've gotten better at this fight or if it was just luck, but Morgan didn't really go full cokehead on me, giving me plenty of space and time to attack. And I did have a pretty clean second phase. So yeah, Morgan's dead, and now it was time for Pain Incarnate, aka Mountaintop of the Giants. I'm definitely not looking forward to this area, since there's a certain boss that dwells at the top of the mountaintops that just so happens to be super resistant to fire on top of being one of the tankiest bosses in Elden Ring, the Fire Giant, who could very well end our run. Like every playthrough, we try our best to get through the Mountaintop of the Giants as quickly as we can. So we grab the Smithing Stone Bell 3 and some more Golden Seeds and Sacred Tears. We then perform the infamous Consecrated Snowfield skip that allows you to access the Consecrated Snowfield without having to collect both pieces of the secret Hagwood Tree Medallion. From here, there are a couple of things we can do, And out of all those options, I thought that the best one would be to go to Mohg's palace to grind for some runes. And that is when I encountered my worst nightmare. Someone that could end my run. Seguin Noble.
Oh, he's a bleed boy. Wow!
This random NPC was the bane of my existence. Normally, I kill this NPC so quickly that I forget he even exists. But this noble made sure I wouldn't forget who he was.
God, I hate this. I hate this fight so much.
Dude!
You! Oh my god! Wow. Wow! Oh my god! Oh my god!
So my countermeasure against NPCs was not nearly as effective as I thought it was. At this point, you're probably thinking to yourself, Ryan, go to Mohg's palace by doing Vare's side quests so you could avoid him altogether. And you see, while that's a good idea, I can't do that. My dignity as a Soulsborne player was on the line. I can't let an NPC beat me. So instead of accepting defeat, I did a little prep work. I made the track to grab both the Giant's Prayer Book as well as a Giant Seal, which unlocks our last 2 fireball attacks. Flamefall Upon Them, an incantation that creates a cluster of fireballs, and Giant's Flame Take Thee, a more souped up version of Flame Sling. While Flamefall Upon Them isn't super useful for us right now, Giant's Flame Take Thee is, since it not only does a lot of damage, but it can also knock NPC and humanoid bosses to the ground. And like the Godslayer Seal, the Giant Seal boosts Giant Flame incantations. And finally, I went ahead and upgraded both of my seals to plus 19. So with my full arsenal of attacks finally unlocked and stronger seals, it was time to take down this noble.
Yes! Oh! Oh my god!
Finally, we can go to Mohg's palace. Wait, why do I feel like I forgot something? Oh yeah, I forgot we were trying to get the Frenzy Flame ending. Okay, let's go and do that. I mean, it shouldn't be too hard to get to, right?
You gotta be kidding me. You have to be kidding me. It was the last one.
So after spending a little too much time platforming, we strip down for a cavity search and get fingered by the 3 fingers to access the Frenzy Flame. Yes, this is canon. Trust me, I would know. And now with our innocence lost, we can become the Lord of Frenzy Flame. There are a lot of different things we can do from here, but I figured the best thing to do would be to finish Fia and Ranni's quest lines. So I descend into the deep root depths to make our way to our next remembrance, the Lynch Dragon Fortisax, but not before having to deal with Fia's fan club. Yay! More NPCs! My favorite! But they're not nearly as bad as the nobles since they're more flimsy than a YouTube apology video. So after a few attempts, I managed to kill Fia's champions with some well-timed fireballs. With the simps gone, it was time to take on Lynch Dragon, who I was pretty nervous about since I had only fought it once during my first playthrough. But it turns out that I didn't even need to worry about the Lynch Dragon at all, since Giant's Flame did so much damage, and the fact that most of Lynch Dragon's attacks don't have a lot of range. Because of this, I not only was able to kill it on my first try, but I also almost did it hitless. So yeah, that's another remembrance down. With Fia's questline done, we can now finish Ranni's questline for yet another remembrance. So we catch a ride in a random coffin at Ainzel River to find the miniature Ranni doll, make an absolute fool out of the Baleful Shadow, do a speedrun any percent run through the Lake of Rot, and catch another ride in an oddly placed coffin for our next remembrance. Estelle, natural born of the void, who was yet another easy boss. Although I did have some issues hitting it, since this Lovecraftian monstrosity could somehow move like a gazelle despite how big it was. But other than that, this fight wasn't really that bad. And boom, we're done with both Fia and Ranni's questlines. But there was still one more questline that we needed to finish, Millicent's questline. But in order to do that, we have to go to the Hagwood tree. So we big brain our way through breaking the seal in Ordina Town with just a little bit of pain, and make our way down the Hagwood tree to our next foe, Loretta. Wait, I thought I already killed Loretta. Well, that doesn't matter. We'll just easily kill her again. After some trial and error, we did eventually kill her again. And now, there was nothing stopping us from finishing Millicent's questline. For the sake of convenience, I'll skip all the details of actually doing her questline and just explain why we did it in the first place. If you didn't know, after Millicent dies at the end of her questline, you can actually kill Gori. If you try to kill Gori early before Millicent dies, he won't actually die. But once she's dead, he lets his guard down. And when you kill Gori, he drops the Flock's Canvas Talisman, which is an upgraded version of the Faithful's Canvas Talisman, giving incantations an 8% damage boost instead of a 4% one. So while the questline was kinda tedious at times, it was totally worth doing. Finally, we had done every questline we needed to, and could now just focus on getting all the remaining remembrances. Well, I guess I've stalled long enough. It looks like I'm gonna have to kill the fire giant. Honestly, I don't even know if it's possible to kill the fire giant under these circumstances, but I have to try. So I came up with a simple plan. Spam Black Flame like my life depended on it. Since the fire giant is resistant to fire damage, my best bet was to bank on the Black Flame. But before subjecting myself to this hell, I made sure to get the maximum amount of flasks that I could have. Okay, now I was ready to fight the fire giant, and let me tell you, this was an interesting fight. Going into it, I wasn't sure exactly how much damage I would do, but I found out that I surprisingly did a decent amount of damage, especially when I was able to hit his weak point. And since I had pumped so many levels into Vigor, we could tank a hit or two with little consequences. So overall, phase 1 wasn't really that bad. However, things got a little more difficult when he got into his second phase. Since his weak points were a lot harder to hit with my fireballs, I had to abandon hitting them altogether, which was just so awesome, since now I was doing even less damage. But at least I was hitting him, so I think the trade-off was well worth it. And after a couple of sweaty tries, I was able to beat the fire giant by only using fireballs, which was a huge win in my book. Now, logically, I should have gone to fight the Godskin duo since they dropped the Smithing Stone Belt 4. But I decided not to do that, since I would rather be beaten to death by a spoon than have to fight them right now. So I went to Mohg instead, which you could argue is harder than the Godskin duo, but here's the thing. I actually like this fight. So, like the fire giant, I exclusively used the Black Flame during this fight, since Mohg is also resistant to fire. However, despite Mohg having more projectiles than a drunk high schooler after prom, his fight actually wasn't all that hard. It mainly came down to being patient and extremely good at dodging his attacks, which I just so happened to be.
No!
Oh! And after just a couple of tries, we defeated Mohg. Now, I pretty much had to fight the Godskin duo, since there was no way in hell that I was going to try to fight Malenia right now. So my game plan for this fight was to focus on the Godskin Noble and use a combination of Giant Flame Take Thee and Black Flame since he doesn't dodge fireballs like the Apostle does. And whenever I'd kill the Noble, I'd use Flame Fall upon them for the Apostle since it covers more ground. So we start the fight and it goes as well as you'd expect it to.
Oh, what the f***? What is happening?
Man, I couldn't even see what was happening.
Wow, dude. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Finally, I can. Oh my f you. Can this guy just die? Can you just die? I don't even care. Can you just die? Oh my god, I'm dead. Yeah. Wow, he didn't even die.
But after some rigorous trial and error and perfect flask balancing, I did eventually beat the Godskin duo, got the Mythic Stone Bell 4, and fully upgraded both my Godslayer seal and my Giant seal to plus 25. Now that our build was pretty much complete, I could, in theory, go for any remembrance I wanted to. But I decided that the best one to go for was Dragon Lord, since I think I can easily take it on. And I was right. Dragon Lord was really easy this time around. Since its attacks are pretty slow and easy to dodge, I had plenty of time to spam my old reliable Black Flame. And yeah, it absolutely melted Dragon Lord's health, killing it in just a few attempts. Up next was Malenia, a boss that I was actually pretty worried about, since he's insanely fast and hits like a truck. I thought that I was going to be stuck on this boss for a while, but no, that wasn't the case. While he was easily able to dodge 90% of my attacks, the ones that I did land did an insane amount of damage. Because of this, I was able to kill Malenia in just 3 tries. And with Malenia dead, we were now on the final stretch of the run, with only 4 remembrances left. But they were certainly not going to go down without a fight. The next remembrance we'll be going for is Godfrey's, which is a fight that I'm usually really bad at. So I hope it won't be too bad this time around. We just gotta get there and...
I need come.
Oh no. I forgot about Gideon. Alright, let's get this over with. Oh wow, Gideon was actually really easy. I guess we really did master dealing with NPCs with only fireballs. And with Gideon down, we could finally try our hand at Godfrey. But first, let's grab our final talisman for the run, the Erd Tree Favor +2. Okay, now it was time to fight Godfrey, who I was pretty nervous about, mainly because of his second phase. I thought that I would have less time to throw fireballs during this phase since he's so aggressive, but that wasn't the case. While this was a pretty stressful fight, I did manage to kill him in just a couple of tries, since there was a lot of leeway for me to throw fireballs. There was even leeway during his second phase. So yeah, this fight wasn't that bad. Next, I went for Malenia, since I don't want to deal with the Elden Beast quite yet, for reasons I'll get into later. For a majority of the bosses up to this point, we've been mostly using the Black Flame since it does the most damage. But we couldn't do that for Malenia's fight since she can easily dodge smaller fireballs. My next idea was to use Giant's Flame Take Thee, and well, she was also able to dodge that. So I was running out of viable options. That was until I remembered. For those who don't know, Flame of the Fell God creates a ball of fire that slowly moves towards its target and explodes once it gets close enough to them, or runs out of time. This is extremely useful against NPCs since they won't automatically roll dodge the attack. And on top of that, if it hits them, it will knock them to the ground, meaning that they can easily get stuck in an endless chain of fireballs if you time them correctly. That's right, Flame of the Fell God finally has its time to shine. My plan was to use Flame of the Fell God to knock her down to the ground, and as she got up, hit her with Giant's Flame Take Thee to knock her on the ground again, and then if we were lucky, get in a third hit. And well, it worked perfectly. Until her second phase. Since she's so much more aggressive during this phase, there was no way this tactic would work. But I remembered that I had another attack that I hadn't been using, being Flame Fall Upon Them. So my new plan was to use the Flame of the Fell God combo for her first phase, and then only use Flame Fall Upon Them for her second phase. And, well, this was not going to be easy. But I had to give it a shot. And, well...
Oh my god, dude. Oh my god! What was that? Go back towards it, you stupid brain-dead moron. Oh my god, second phase. Let's go. Let's not die to this. Please, let's not die to this. Or just die to it! Come on, dude! Please, please, please. Please run when I tell you to run! Oh god, why? Why that attack? Why that one? No! No! Oh no! Yes, oh my god! Let's go!
Holy crap. I actually was able to kill Malenia with only fireballs. That was a huge win for me. Okay, now it was time to face the Elden Beast. For those who don't know, for some reason, Radahn is able to block projectiles. Yes, you heard me correctly. Radahn can block projectiles. This, of course, includes fireballs. So, does this mean that our run's over? Not exactly. You see, while he can block projectiles, he doesn't always block them. You can still hit him with projectiles while he's attacking or right after he blocks a projectile. In other words, it was possible, but we'd have to time our fireballs perfectly. And, well, that's exactly what I did. And once Radahn was dead, the fight was pretty much over, since Black Flame melts the Elden Beast's health bar. And after several tries, we killed both Radahn and the Elden Beast. And there we go. We beat Elden Ring with only fireballs. Now, the only thing left to do was to activate the Lord of Frenzy Flame ending. Wait. Something doesn't feel right. Why do I feel like I've forgotten something? Something quite important. Oh no. Rykard. Rykard. Elden Ring's gimmick boss. The one that is meant to be killed with the Serpent Hunter. Yes, this was the boss that I was the most worried about, since I had no idea if this fight was even possible with just fireballs. Not only does Rykard have a ton of health, but he's also resistant to fire. So we pretty much had to exclusively use Black Flame for this fight. So we made our way to Rykard just to see how bad this fight was going to be.
Wow, why do I keep dying a bit? God, I don't even know where I am right now. What was that? What am I even supposed to do about that?
Yeah, this was not going to be easy. Hell, it might not even be possible. Well, I guess I'll just have to throw in the towel. Is what I would say if I actually thought this was impossible. But I noticed something. While I was dying pretty quickly, I actually did a good amount of damage. Enough damage to theoretically kill Rykard, and most of my fireballs actually hit him. However, because I had a bunch of FP, I couldn't go in with as many Crimson Flasks as I'd like. meaning that I had to play perfectly in order for this to work. So we started practicing and slowly made progress until this happened.
Oh my god, I'm gonna die with one f***ing hit. I have to go for it. 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 I have to go for the rip. No! I didn't get the throw! No! No! Oh!
Well, now I know, without a shadow of a doubt, that this was possible. But man, was it gonna be hard. If we wanted to win, we would have to do the first phase by using as few flasks as possible, so I can afford to get hit more during the second phase. And let me tell you that I got damn good at Rykard's first phase. I could consistently get to the second phase now, and could dodge almost every attack perfectly. Almost every attack. Now, it was just a matter of not dying during his second phase. The problem is, since we can't use the Serpent Hunter, we can't prevent him from doing his signature attack. So if we wanted to win, we would have to live through about 3 or 4 of his signature attacks, on top of all the other attacks he does during his signature attack. And after several hours of grinding, this happened.
Oh my god! Yes! Yes! Oh, yes! Oh my god! Yes! Holy shit!
And just like that, we beat Rykard and got our final remembrance. So, it is possible to not only beat Elden Ring, but to also get all remembrances by only using fireballs. While this was extremely difficult at some points, it was more than doable. So, now the only thing left to do was to beat the game.